Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's your girl Sika in the house. I hope you're all doing well. Apologize for my groggy voice, but you're probably the first people that I'm speaking to, and it's been a fabulous day so far. I'm really happy to be here. I love everybody who is here with me, and thank you so much for all the love that has been shown over the years, weeks, and months. I really appreciate every single one of you. Hello, Winnie. How are you doing? I hope you're good. Hello, everybody else who's here. Fabulous Thursday to you. It's almost the end of the week. Have a bit of time this morning. Don't have to be in a rush this morning. But I thought I'll drop by and just, have a bit of a conversation with anybody who's here and has time for us to talk. Yesterday, Auntie Ya sent me a video. It was something that was being spoken about on TikTok, and it actually drew my attention that it's about time that I speak to some of my sisters in the house here right now, that we need to be extra vigilant and careful about the things that we don't really consider, and just throw all caution in the wind and just think that it's a safe space. This person looks safe. It's all okay. So you can just literally do what you like because you think that you can just about trust every and anybody. I've said this, I can't even begin to count how many times, that there is no art to tell the mind's construction in the face. It's something Macbeth said in their books. Now here, what I'm saying to you about what I've just said is that we live in an era where the only way to meet people that you can date, get married, have a relationship with has changed. When I was much younger, you would meet people face to face and they would tell you how they felt about you. People used to write love letters and all kinds of things. And there will usually be people that you know through education or some other means, like people that you've actually met physically. And then you decide how you're going to take the relationship. However, things have changed now. On the advent of social media, the internet, the World Wide Web, whatever you want to call it, things have changed. It is much harder for people to meet people in person. Not saying it doesn't happen, it still does. But that seems to be in the minority now. Things have changed. So a lot of us are meeting people that we don't know on social media. Social media has now become the place where people are meeting other people that would become prospective dates of theirs. There's nothing wrong with that. The way of doing things have changed. But I just want to remind my sisters, especially because we are the ones that end up being vulnerable and put ourselves in unthinkable places, is that the rules of engagement, the rules of making sure that you are safe, the rules of not throwing all caution in the wind, the rules of not making desperation to have somebody in your life or loneliness force you to just pick just about anybody off the street, should also ring in your brain and still give you the ability to have common sense and reasoning in your actions in your daily lives. So in this particular story, there's this young woman who is lonely and is really desperately looking for a partner to be with. Then she meets this guy on social media and they start chatting back and forth. Oh, you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. And it starts to get into her head and she's very excited about what is happening. She talks to a friend of hers, her best friend, let's just say, and tells her what's going on. Then one day the guy says, if you really love me and you really care about me that much, you need to come and visit me here. And he tells the girl where he lives, and that she has to make every effort herself to get there. Initially, the girl said she didn't have money for transportation, but the guy says, well, if you love me that much, you should come yourself. So whatever she did, she does, and she ends up at this guy's residence. When she gets there, there are some very questionable things that she sees. According to this story, there's a bucket with leaves and some concoctionary things, very suspicious looking things in a bucket. But she says, oh, she just thought that maybe somebody had told him that he needed to do this ritual or whatever to bathe. So she didn't think anything of it and just, brushed that to one side. The only good thing that this young lady did was that throughout the whole process, she was chatting back and forth on her mobile phone to this best friend that she had told that she was going to go and see this guy. Now, as time went on, the guy said, well, I want you to use your own money. Get out there, get foodstuffs, come back to mine and cook for me. I want to see what you can cook, but I want you to use your own money to cook the food that I am going to consume. Actually, my friend is here. We're going out, so we're just going to go. Hopefully, by the time we come back, the food would be ready. The young lady again takes her own money, goes around wherever, buys the stuffs, and come back to his house to cook for them. They come back, the food is ready, and they sit and eat. Whilst the guy was away though, she was still chatting to her friend back and forth. And the friend advised her to go inside the room, the guy's room, which he had left open, and see whether there are any other suspiciously looking stuff in the house itself as well. The girl goes inside, the guy is away with the friend, and when she goes inside his stuff, there's a pot in his wardrobe, in his bedroom. And this pot has traces of blood in it. It has semi-used candles and all kinds of other things in the wardrobe as well. This young lady didn't think that this was enough evidence for her to leave. She still stayed, went and got the foodstuffs, cooked for this guy, and stayed. By the time all this was said and done, it was nighttime, it was late. She couldn't go back home on her own. The guy asked that he wanted to get intimate with her. And because she was scared, based on the things that she saw, she gave herself to this guy and he slept with her multiple times. After all this had happened, they were laying in the bed, and at 12 midnight, there's this prayer line that she joins, that she prays with whoever is on the thing leading the prayers. As soon as the guy hears that she starts praying on this prayer line, he drives her out of the room and says, you have to leave my house right now. The girl pleads with him that it's too late. I can't go anywhere at this time. How am I even going to get public transport to get back home? Can I just lay in your living room, and in the morning, when there's light of day, I can go back home? So she leaves and lays in his living room, continues with the prayer line thing, and then in the morning, heads back to her house. And when she was leaving, the guy gave her 2 sacks of rice, little bags of rice, and says to her, you're really, truly very lucky. The reason why I'm telling this very fancy story here is that it's becoming apparent to me now that a lot of my sisters are so desperate. Like we want to be married, we want to have a man in our life so badly that we throw all caution in the wind. We forget about a lot of common sense things that we would normally pay attention to just because we are desperate and we want to be married. We want to have a man in our life. We have to have a boyfriend at all costs. This girl could have lost her life. I actually believe that this young man was into rituals. And if this girl was not woke enough to let her friend know where she was, continue chatting to the friend back and forth and giving her information about what to do and what not to do. As soon as they did what they did and they fell asleep, he could have even put something in the air that she could have inhaled so that she was out of it herself. And then the pieces of hair would probably be found all over the place. This is how a lot of people are getting missing. This is how a lot of people are being trafficked on social media, and it is always from the most unassuming people. Don't you ever think that because somebody is rich, they look a certain way, they live in this type of a house, they drive in this kind of a car, they wear some particular kinds of clothes, that those people are safe people that you can trust completely? I've told you, there is no art, nothing to tell the mind's construction in the face. There's no way you can look at somebody's face and say whether somebody is capable of taking somebody else's life or not, whether somebody is capable of being a good husband or a good boyfriend, whether the person is, hates other people or does other horrific things to people. There is no way for you to be able to pinpoint that. Hello, Pastor Patience. How are you doing? Good morning. Letitia, how are you? How is everybody else who's here? I'm begging you, girls. I know, yeah, your mom says you're 35. Your every friend of yours that you know is married. Everybody in your life is getting married. Some people already have children. And so those are the things that are driving a lot of my sisters to throw all caution in the wind and just follow everything. Yay, I'm seeing you too. Yay, happy Thursday, Pastor Patience. Do not allow anything or anyone to sway you to do or live dangerous lives just because you're desperately looking for a lifetime partner. The same common sense things that you may or may not have been taught as a child apply in every scenario. If you meet somebody online, you don't know the next thing about them. Being on this social media space, I can't begin to tell you of any single day that I have woken up in the morning, or I go inside my inbox or the messages that I get on social media, and there isn't somebody who's trying to have a, hit on you. They don't know nothing about you. All they're probably seeing is your face. That's it. And they think that because they see your face, they know the whole world about you. And so, people are coming back left, right, and center with all kinds of proposals. Hello, Uncle Tony. How are you doing? Good morning. Please, don't be swayed by such silliness, because you just might end up 6 foot under. And people think that this is only applicable to children. But I have seen fully fledged adults in their 40s, 50s, some of them even in their 60s, still make these mistakes because they're so lonely. The life, especially if you live in the West, can be so lonely that there's nobody that you can talk to. You just want somebody that you can share your life with. So you're throwing all caution in the wind and doing silly things that don't make sense. Please. I don't want to see any other young person, middle-aged woman, older woman, lose their life because you didn't apply common sense principles. Anybody can tell you anything. Anybody can tell you anything. Gail says that the generation today don't put their trust in God, so the devil is using them. They are so naive, educated but dumb. The thing is that when you're desperate, anything that you do in desperation does not work out or does not turn out good. This is somebody you don't know. If you want something good to come into your life, of course, a lot of people will say all manner of things they don't even mean. You're the only pomo on my whatever, in my bitter leaf soup. You're the only this. I haven't seen anybody quite as beautiful as you are. I love your eyes. I love your nose. Of course they're going to say that. If you fall for it, then honey, you're not ready for this whole game. And there's so many women, so many older women that you think would have learnt a thing or two by now. But no, we are still doing the same things. Just Dama, good morning. How are you doing? Right? Please, please, I'm begging you. So somebody comes and says you're beautiful, they want to get to know you more, blah, blah, blah. How do you then end up from that place to the person's house when you don't even know anything about them? Don't know no friends of theirs. You don't know where they work. They don't know who they hang out with. Absolutely nothing. Just because somebody says, oh, you're so beautiful, you look like a very good girl, come and visit me. Then you also get dressed and go to their house, a place that you have no control over. Doesn't make any sense at all, does it? In these parts of the world, there are actually a lot of groups and things where common sense practices about internet dating are taught to people. You're only Pomo, you're here. I knew you were going to say something. Right? All these common sense things, they're taught to young children from infancy in these parts of the world. And maybe the same thing needs to be happening back in Africa as well, because some of these things are just pathetic. That's not to say it doesn't happen here as well. It does. But to a much bigger degree, it's happening over there. You've met somebody online you don't know anything about their background, who they are. At least back in the day when you're going to school with somebody and the person writes you this malicious summer and somebody writes you a letter or is hitting on you. At least you're in the same school. If you're fortunate enough, they would have siblings that are walking around that you know. You know a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of theirs. There is some common background or basis for knowing who these people are. Even then, you still practice common sense things. How much more for somebody that you don't know, you can't see? People put all kinds of pictures on social media. 2 days ago, somebody sent me a message. And the person sending the message is Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry had a whole paragraph to send to me. That's not to say Tyler Perry can't send me that kind of a message, but just by reading the text that is supposed to be coming from Tyler Perry, I just knew Tyler does not talk like that. Tyler doesn't, that's not his lingo. I am on his page. I know the sorts of things he puts out there. This is not Tyler Perry. But there's so many people out there faking it, using all kinds of names. Take your time before falling in love. Every red sign is dangerous. It's too dangerous to ignore. Thank you so much, Pastor Patience. Like, just common sense things. So this person, you end up in somebody's house. They've invited you and you end up in their house. And right there where this guy is supposed to be receiving guests, he knew you were coming. But you still saw a bucket of water with cowries and all kinds of fanciful leaves and things in. That was not red flag enough for you to say, I don't feel safe here, and find an excuse and leave. You stayed. Your friend advises you to go in the wardrobe. You see a pot with traces of human blood and all kinds of fanciful things in there. You didn't run. The person was gone. What would he do? Leave. No, you still stay. A person asks you to use your money. Why your money? to cook food for him to come and eat with his friend. This is somebody who was begging for transport money to come visit this guy. Where did she suddenly get the money from to cook food, to feed this man? Because this man can be a potential husband. And so she was prepared to literally lay down her life just so that she can also have somebody and prove to her friends that she's also got a man in her life. I'm begging you. Anything has got to be worse than you being alive, being able to do the things that you were destined to do. And as I've said multiple times, the people who take other people's lives, the people who do all these horrific things, they look like you and me. They have the biggest smiles in the whole world. They work with people. Some of them are actually excellent people in top managerial positions, and yet they are still psychos. If you watch enough of these crime things, I used to, but it got to a point where I started having nightmares watching them. It's why I stopped. But when you've watched enough of those things, it really gives you a better sense to see how the mindset of these people are when they're doing the things that they do. Who in their right frame of mind is looking for prey that they can pounce on? And they're going to stand out there and say, hey, look at me. I take people's lives. Look at me. If you want me, just come. Nobody's going to do that. They have to be nice, be able to convince you, lead you to a false sense of security so that you can let yourself go and they can do whatever it is they want to do with you. The thing that I actually found shocking was that after all these things that this young lady saw, when nighttime came, she didn't ask to leave. When the man said that she wanted to sleep with her, according to the story, she said she felt, because of the things she has seen, if she says no, he can do harmful things to her. You stayed the whole day till nighttime. And you still went ahead to sleep with this man. So in the process of sleeping with you, if he had strangled you, what would happen? You are gone. Never to tell this story again to anybody else hearing. There's a story I'm going to tell you guys. There was somebody that I knew growing up. And this person grew up and became a nice, fanciful young man. Troublesome, but you always think that there's certain things that this person is not capable of doing it. And he had a girlfriend. Young girl, very innocent looking. She was so smitten by him all over the place and everything. The girl had been in a particular town and had never traveled to the biggest city in Ghana, Accra, before. So it was such a big thing for her that this guy had promised her that he was going to take her to Accra for the first time. She was so excited. Told everybody. Unbeknownst to her, that was going to be her last trip. So this guy had made all kinds of phone calls and had all kinds of conversations. Some of them in public transport. Unbeknownst to him, at a time when he was having the conversation, there was somebody who was in the security services who wasn't dressed in uniform, also sitting in a vehicle. And so the person was listening into all the terms and the conversation. He was very familiar with what was said and took phone numbers. And so they knew when he had planned, when the girl was going to come with him, where they were going to meet, everything. And this uniformed security services guy is why that young lady had her life till today. and this person was put behind bars. Because on the day of reckoning, they arrived in a part of Accra, Kaneshi. And the person who was supposed to then take over the product, they were kept calling the girl the product, to then take over and do whatever they had to do. He didn't know who it was. He had just been speaking to the person, and he had been told that if he was able to deliver this person the product, a live product, a female live product, he will get X amount of money. If they are successful in being able to remove body parts, the thing even goes up more than that. And that's what he had brought his own so-called girlfriend to come and do. The heart of man is desperately wicked. There's so many things out there that people are prepared to do to put human life on the line to get those things. And so please, don't allow the fact that every mate of yours in school is married, every mate of yours has children, mean that you have to put yourself in harm's way and cut all corners. Do things that you know don't even make any sense, just so that you can get a man. Good things come to you easily. You don't even have to make any efforts to get them. And when something is meant to be yours, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to fight it. You just have to be in that place, ready to receive. Being ready to receive does not mean that you have to put yourself in harm's way. You know, sometimes, as a person who believes that there is a God, we have a supreme being, and he looks after us, is that we ask him for things. And then we also want to circumvent how the thing that we've asked him for ought to be done. We want to be a part of the process. We want to be the one that decides what kind of way the whole thing is going to unfold. But if you really trust and you really believe, all you ought to do is just ask and let the rest fall into place by itself. Any man that you have to have, where you have to put your own life at risk, to go to a man's house that you don't know, you know absolutely nothing about him. I'm sure this young lady, when she's asked what this young man's name is, all she can say is the name that he had told her that he was called. Whether it's the right name, it's the social media name, it's a fake name, you have no idea. You have no idea. You're just going forth because, you know, everybody is doing it. Everybody has a man in their life. What is so wrong with me that I can't find somebody? So you have to cut every single little corner to have somebody in your life. My darling, please. When I first arrived here in Canada, I had the opportunity of reading about a story in the newspapers back in Ghana from here. And when I found out that the lady that this thing had happened to was actually Canadian, I know, but I just got really upset. And she had her contact details and whatever. And so I reached out to her. I was like, is this story really true, or is this some fake? So I sent her a text message. Oh, she was actually here at the time. So quickly, oh, what is your number? Blah, blah, blah. And she called me. It was only when I actually spoke to her that I actually believed that this story was true. Sometimes older women are looking for love so much because maybe you're widowed, your husband left you young, your husband died young, whatever. So now you're so desperate for companionship that it doesn't even matter where this companion comes from. And I've seen this woman was in her 50s. She went online She said she didn't even want this whole online dating thing, but her friends convinced her that, you know, that's how a lot of people are meeting people. So you need to get out there. Come on. You need to do it. You keep complaining that nobody is forthcoming. Well, this is how the world is now. So you need to do it. So one of her best friends took a picture of her that night when they went out. The best friend did a whole profile on one of the famous dating sites you know out there, and put her on there. Within a few minutes, there were people from all over the place, and she was so excited at the attention that she was getting. And one of these people was somebody calling themselves Selassie. This Selassie was mid-30s, and Selassie was giving this woman a lot of attention. And she was just enjoying it. Yeah. He's younger. He's exciting. He's this, he's that. Within 6 weeks, this woman had flown from Canada straight to Accra to meet Selassie. They spent a good 6 weeks, 2 months together. Selassie was the best thing that happened to her, in her own words. Loving, caring, this, that. In 6 weeks, Selassie managed to convince my friend to put up her house in Canada for sale. And before she knew it, almost half of the money that came from selling her house was in Selassie's pocket, because Selassie managed to convince her that they were going to set up a business together. She loved estranged birds, and so she wanted to have a bird sanctuary back there too, with her now serious boyfriend slash, fiance. They'd rented this fantastic house in East Legon. She had started going around looking where she could put her, a bird sanctuary and have all these fanciful. She had actually bought some of these birds already. I was very excited. But now, when Selassie is now asking for more money, and more money is not really forthcoming, Selassie then turned her worst nightmare. She actually was on GTV, or is it TV3, telling her story, absolutely pouring her eyeballs out. This story. Selassie turned the most horrific person she could ever think about, started hitting her. When he was being intimate with her, he would beat her up in the midst of all of that. Now the truth is coming out. Yeah, Selassie had a younger model of a girlfriend that he was really serious about. Selassie na Yahoo boy. They had the whole system working. Because she said she didn't understand how Selassie would say that he had a lot of friends. And these friends were all male. And they only come to Selassie and her house in the night with computers. They have a specific room that they sit in and they chat and drink and talk for hours on end. Not knowing that is where all the grooming happens. And they were doing it because they were always finding people that were falling victims to this whole thing. Now this older woman, my friend, Marjorie, has lost everything. The house, everything she had in Canada is all gone. No, she didn't. She actually believed that she could find love in a younger man. She did. And there are lots of people who believe that. A lot. Oh, age is just a number. It doesn't really matter. He just loves me for me. Common sense prevails. Common sense must prevail. A lot of young girls have gone missing. Their families think that they've probably gone abroad, or they've gone to another country, or they live in a different city in the same country, but they don't know that these precious children of theirs are 6 foot under without body parts. Because some people have taken advantage of this whole situation I'm telling you about and have ended lives. Don't allow the fact that you want to have somebody in your life, the fact that you're so lonely, the fact that there's nobody to talk to, the fact that you think you're getting on in age. Everybody is married. Amma Manson is married. Auntie Marcia is married. Everybody I know is married. Therefore, I must also be married. Your journey in this life is just simply not the same as anybody else's. You are you. Amma is Amma. I am me. She is she. Just understand that. You don't have to force things to happen. Just allow things to take their natural course. Are you not better off being married at 50 and being happy? Finding somebody that, is in sync with you, understands you for who you are and everything, than to be married at 22. You can't even get out of your bed. Any move you have to make, you have to report to somebody and get permission to be able to do that. Is that one marriage? Or is it bondage? Because there's so many of my sisters. And I used to think it was only bad in Ghana. And then I found a lot of my Nigerian sisters and I listened to a lot of the things that come out of there. And I'm like, that's on another whole different level. Marriage is like the end all and be all to a lot of people in a lot of cultures. And if you're not married, you're worse than a dog. Why do people now equate being alone to being lonely? I don't know, my darling. My darling sister, I don't know. But people don't really understand that. I have met so many people seemingly happily married. And they'll be telling me, crying to me that they are married all right on the face of it, but they are even still lonely in their marriages. The spouses don't care about the next thing about them. They never talk. I know somebody whose husband would fight with her. They'll have the biggest arguments you can ever think about. Even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, there she goes to bed. The man will just get on top of her, spread it apart, do the do. 5 minutes later, he's snoring. No complaining. Whether they haven't spoken for 6 months or they've had the biggest row ever, he is still doing. When he's done, he's done. That's it. Finish. Kaput. Back to reality. Is that marriage? Is that the sort of life that you're craving so much that you would put your own life and your safety on the line to have that kind of a life? Is that really what you want? Marriage can be beautiful. I'm not saying it's not. And there are some people who are happily married and truly enjoying their marriage. How many? How many? This Alma says he's doing what? Oh yeah. They will fight and argue and not be talking to each other. But at night, when she goes to bed, guaranteed he's there. Because he will tell her, I own you. I bought you. I paid your dowry. I paid your bride price. So I must get exactly what. What are you in my house for? Why are you my wife? I must get what I must get. And that's it. So they can be at loggerheads for as long as you can think. But he still must do the do. And he must get it. So those of us who are out here thinking that those people who are in the marriage are so lucky, it's the best thing that is happening. Let me tell you that, unfortunately, It's not everybody that is having that experience. The people that are having that experience are few and far between. Majority of people now managing, now packaging. They are just packaging. I remember when I just came out of school, a lot of my mates were getting married. Everybody I knew was there's a wedding here. I was just constantly getting wedding invitations. One of them would say to me, soon after she had gotten married, marriage is the most amazing thing. So those of you who are not married, you guys are just missing out on everything, and you better make sure that you get married soon so that you can start having children. Your biological clock is ticking. I would just put my hand on my chin like this and be looking at her, and I just laugh. Those in good marriages are lucky. The rest are in hell. And that's the truth. But the truth is that a lot of people who should be out here with you and I, this dama, speaking the truth, are few and far between. They are the ones out there making women feel that you are nothing because you're not married. Marriage is not what gives you the air that you breathe. Marriage is not what's going to make you successful in this life. That is your own destiny that you have total control over. There's so many of my friends that I grew up with young. They had all these ambitions and goals and all these things that they wanted to achieve in life. One marriage, 1 year marriage that they put themselves into, it's aged them. They look like my mom. Some of them even worse. And even some of them, I am even older than them. All because of 1 year stupid marriage they put themselves into. Because they listen to the rhetoric and the narrative out there. You know, you're an engineer, you're a pharmacist, you're a businesswoman, you're this, you have all this money, you're working. Every month you get a salary. So who are you working hard for? They tell you all these crazy things, and you also fall for it and think that it is gospel. This woman was in a relationship for 24 years and had 5 children. It's a story that was trending on social media that I saw recently too. 5 children, 24 years of marriage. This man had been hitting this woman for years. Even the house that they were living in, significant amount of the money to build that house came from her. She had to pay for her own bride price for the man to marry her. Resented the hell out of her. How she stayed and had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children with the same person. It's beyond my thinking and imagination. I don't understand it. But she did. 24 years of marriage. And she now has the sense to leave and say enough is enough. After broken nose, broken jaw, broken eye socket, broken everything on her face. The man used to tie her up, hit her black and blue like an animal, and she still stayed. Cooked for this man and opened the door for him. Hey, I know how people are able to do those things. I don't know how it happens, but people do it. My love, marriage is beautiful. If marriage finds you, cannot come and put your life on the line just because you have to be married, just because somebody sitting somewhere who doesn't even know what your goals, ambitions, whatever is in this life thinks that marriage is the only way that you can survive on this planet. A lot of us have just lost the plot completely. You go to church, our men and powerful women of God who should be teaching, who should be teaching people to believe in themselves as an individual first. And let God himself bring your partner to you. No. You are getting on. You have to get married. Everybody is getting married. You have to settle down. You have to find somebody. You must marry this, that, and the other. And putting yourself in harm's way because of that. A couple weeks ago, I read something in the papers that a woman who had been married and had had 16 miscarriages. And I think she already had one child. But because she couldn't have any more, the spouse and the spouse's family were putting her through so much that after the 16th miscarriage, the horrible things they were doing, the abuse, both verbal, emotional, and physical, this woman took her life. And her doctor was the one who was narrating this whole thing and putting it out there. This is somebody who even had a child already. Putting themselves in harm's way. Knowingly. Because she had to satisfy something that her in-laws and her spouse were putting her through. In the name of marriage and keeping the marriage. There's so many people who are 6 foot under because of this same sort of thing. Let's not get going on that one. It makes me so upset when things like that happen. It is happening. It will continue to happen. But the thing that I'm talking about here this morning is that you are the only person that gives the right and the opportunity to other people to treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. Anybody who really wants to be with you and just loves you for you will take you for you, whatever your package is, whatever you come with, and cherish you just like that. It is only in our community that you go out to a place and guaranteed, at least me, any time that I go to a function where it's predominantly African, guaranteed. One of the first two questions I would be asked at this function: where is your family? Where is your husband? Where are your children? But let me turn up to any other function, anywhere else. Hello, Sika. Oh, it's such a joy to see you. Oh, fabulous. You made it. Big difference. In our community, you are nobody as a woman if you don't have a husband and children. Unfortunately, that's the truth. And so this desperation that is making women put themselves on the line, regardless, because I have to have a man. Even if I see buckets with all kinds of strange things in it, I can overlook that. I can pray it away. I can pray for him. I can bring him to my church. He will change. His own mama and papa could not change him. It's you who is going to change him. And some of us, in the course of wanting to change other people, we are the ones who have gone missing, who have gone lost, whose lives have been cut short. Because we went trying to rescue people who never asked you to rescue them. Rescue your own self first. We're trying to play Jesus. We're trying to be the ones that transform people's lives. Who asked you to do that? Angel Amma. Right? And you end up 6 foot under. Don't let anybody deceive you into thinking that you're not enough. Just the way you are. I am me. If you don't like me, it's fine. You don't have to. I love me just the way I am. This is me. Can't do anything else but me and be me. I can't be anybody else. I can only be me. Do a good job of being me. That's it. If you like. If you don't like, don't like. It's fine. But I am still me. It's as simple as that. And it's so sad that there are very few people who have been able to understand and accept this in the very core of us. And so we're opening ourselves up to all kinds of strange things that we are giving ourselves the opportunity to allow it to happen to us. This young girl could have lost her life, honestly speaking, but for that friend of hers and that prayer thing that she was into that finally drove her out of that room. She was going to be nice prey, the next victim to whatever was going on in that place. Be a good job of being me. Exactly. Be you. That's the only thing that you can perfect and be. Me. I'm being me. I can't do anything else. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm just trying to perfect being me. That's it. If you like me, fine. If you don't, that's fine. We're cool. We're good. You don't have to like me. You don't. You don't have to love me. You don't. But I have to love me and perfect being me. We have been lied to and deceived into thinking it's not okay to be in your 30s and 40s and not have a man in your life. Like you've caught some kind of bug. There's nothing wrong with you. And trust me, there's so many people who are happily married, happily, in inverted commas, married on the face of it, who would happily trade places with you and I that have still not entered that marriage because they went in thinking it was heaven and it's ended up being hell on earth. For some reason or for whatever reason, they are stuck and they can't get out of it. So they're brightening the corner where they are. That is the story for many. So please, it is a lot of the times better to be by yourself. The peace that you get is beyond human comprehension. It is still better to have that peace and be happy with your own self than to be with some person that is driving you absolutely up the wall. Life is very short. There is so much inside of you, my sister, that the world is waiting to see. Whilst you're not married, spend the time just loving you, discovering who you are, what you do like and don't like. Spend time loving those. And stop being in such a big hurry to pick the next person that comes along just because they say they're a certain way. Hello, Auntie Elaine. How are you doing? Oh, fabulous to see you today. Right? Please. Now, if you must get out there on the internet dating site, go fishing. I beg of you, at least let a friend of you know that you're on there. When you meet somebody that you think, oh, okay, this person seems like a ABC, let your friend know about it. I have a group of friends who tell each other when they get into relationships, so everybody else in the group is aware of it. And 9 times out of 10, on the first 2 or 3 dates, there's somebody in the group who will blend into the crowd and be watching the whole conversation or whatever is going on from a distance. We don't go to somebody's house until they've been out enough that everything has been verified as true before you start doing, more closer things with people. Even then, there was a man who had taken his wife's life and was on the run from a certain country and had traveled across the oceans to a whole different continent, met a woman, dated her for months and years, eventually married her, and they had 3 children. And then the man traveled somewhere for a while, and the wife's best friend from school came to visit them. She was so excited, she brought her friend home, and there was a family portrait with husband, wife, and children, all with nice smiles. The friend comes in, the person who was married with the 3 children was so excited to show her friend around the house and show all the pictures and everything. But the friend who had come to visit, there was something about this guy. She had seen the face somewhere, but she couldn't remember where she had seen it. So she was quiet, she played along and everything, and she left. She kept thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. 2 weeks later, she remembered that this was the same man that had taken his wife's life and was on the run. And the police are still it's still an active case 20 years later. They were still looking for this guy. She called a friend and told her friend what had happened. They planned it. They got their security services involved. She played along. The guy came back from his trip, stayed a bit, and then he was ready to go again, blah, blah. Nothing for him to suspect anything was going on. But as soon as he left on the next trip for 3 weeks, they got them new passports. They moved them to a completely different country, changed their identity, their names, everything, and took them off social media completely. And that's how this woman and her 3 children that she's had with somebody who had taken somebody else's life managed to escape that. And this guy is now paying the price for what he did many years before. Life is not as straightforward and as easygoing as you may think. Pray for discernment. Trust your gut feeling. 99% of the time when your gut is telling you something, better believe it. My gut has saved me from so much. I can't even begin to say. From work, out of it. Your gut. Trust it. That is God himself putting a piece of himself inside of you to warn you. This thing, you know, there are certain places you just enter and you don't even know why you're feeling a particular type of way. You have goosebumps, your tummy suddenly rumbles, you feel funny. Run. My gut has saved me from things that I can't begin to tell you. People who have tried to be who they're not. And if I had followed it and played along, I'd have been jobless today. But my gut just, this person is not who they say they are. And 99% of the time when I trust it and I follow the process, and I say, no, I still don't believe that you're who you are. By the time the investigation is finished, it is true. It is not who they said they were. Men purporting to be women, vice versa, people who are older saying they're young. I can't keep talking. Trust that saying, that inner voice inside of you. We all have it. And if it's not talking to you, it means it's been talking, but you've not been listening. And it's about time you start forming that kind of a relationship with your gut, because it never lies. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Don't allow anybody to pressurize you. Don't allow anybody to force you. Don't allow anybody to talk you into doing anything that does not feel right. 20 people in your group or your circles will do something and get away with it. Only you go and try that same thing. The same formula, the same everything. And you are the one who will be found wanting. Always trust yourself. You can never go wrong with that. And don't believe all these pictures and things that people put on social media. People want you to have an impression, the impression that they want you to have of them. It could be anything. So don't believe those things. Somebody will come and look at like a Latino and they have this six-pack and this. There's so many guys out there with cock and bull stories. A friend of mine told me a story about, she got online and she met a guy who says they've been in the American military for 20 years. And they went to all these war-torn places that they know. When they tell you, you're going to feel so much pity for them. Oh, they went to Guantanamo Bay and they went to Afghanistan and they went to Iraq and blah, 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 blah. And they used to be married before, and then their spouse died of cancer. So now they're left with a 10-year-old daughter or son, depending on, what they think you may like. And it's just so pitiful. Now they just want to find somebody that they can love again so that you can make another family, blah, blah, blah. As it turned out, this person was sitting in Lagos. He's never even left Nigeria before. But he had military clothing, the American flag, pictures of some nice brown dude in the sun with six-pack. Tomorrow he's wearing his, American Army uniform. Maybe the top is off, showing his six-pack, and he's got the bottoms and his shoes on. Another time he's got the cap on and the top on and just wearing shorts, like crazy pictures. And she was buying it. She thought it was actually true. And these are the sorts of ways that these well-crafted, well-experienced people who know how to play on your emotions will get hold of you. Somebody says they live in Canada. Oh, okay. Where in Canada do you live? In Calgary. Which part of Calgary? Metropolitan Calgary. Huh? Where is that? There is no metropolitan Calgary. The person never stepped foot in Canada before. But he says he lives in metropolitan Calgary, Canada. And people are buying it. These people will continue to do these things because they are always people that they are able to get hold of and do the things that they do to them. A lot of the time, it's money that these people want. And by the way, if you start dating anybody online, you've never seen them before, they'll tell you, I'm in some trouble, and if you don't come rescue me, I'm gonna die. Okay, die. But people send them money. Yeah. I know somebody who sent $5,000 to somebody she thought was living somewhere because they were stuck in Turkey somewhere. They had gone on holiday and they got stuck, blah, blah, blah. And you think these things are a joke, but I'm dead serious. They're happening in real time to real people. So please, and please again, don't you think you're ever too old or too young? If you haven't watched Tinder Swindler, it used to be on Netflix for a very long time. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Let's have a look. Tinder Swindler. Better go watch that movie. It just might give you a little bit more of an insight into the sorts of things that are going on out there today. If you're not experienced with this whole online thing, you have no business doing it. Please. If you don't understand how it works, you have no business. Oh yeah, it's still there. Tinder Swindler. Can you see it? Yeah, go watch this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, it will give you some very fantastic things. Tinder swindler. Please, let this and that always guide you in all your ways. Stop falling for puppets out there that you don't even know. Don't put your human life, your money, your purse, or your pocket on the line for any greedy person to take undue advantage of you. This is my message for this morning. I had to say something because too many of my friends are falling for this. Too many of my friends have lost their lives. Too many sisters are 6 foot under because we don't understand the simple thing that there is no art to tell the mind's construction in the face. It's always helpful to have some very good male friends in your life or family, cousins, uncles, younger brothers, older brothers in your life as well. They know the trade very well. They've done it themselves. It is always helpful to not think that I better keep this to myself. I can't tell anybody about it. I don't want anybody else to have any, get anywhere close to my man. When you're 6 foot under, this man will jog onto the sunset and find somebody else. Think before you act. If something is too good to be true, believe me, it is. Don't believe somebody telling you they are on some oil rig. They go dredging oil from the sea. They are busy. They are this. All kinds of cock and bull stories. Oh, I was dating this woman. We were actually married. We bought a house and they'll tell you somewhere in the States that will blow your mind. Los Angeles or whatever. And then, I went away to go working on the sea for a month. And by the time I came back, I caught my wife red-handed in bed with my best friend. They have all the fanciful stories that you can fall for. It turned out that this man is living in some nice part in Lagos, Abuja, somewhere, eating some nice pounded yam. And you're sitting here, wherever you are, Germany, the States, Canada, England, falling for his bullcrap. Think all the time. And always know that somebody always has a motive. If you think like that, if you start from that point, you will not be found wanting. I love us girls so much. We have so much potential. There is so much that we're capable of doing. And your life means something. Your Heavenly Father would not bring you here if there was nothing valuable about you. If there wasn't something that you have to bless the world with, you wouldn't be here. So please, I'm begging you, use this thing. It was given to you for a reason. Protect your life, protect yourself, and do the needful so that you can be here, fulfill the number of your days, and accomplish every goal, every ambition, everything. The fullness of your destiny. It's still possible. Don't be fooled by anything. Some people think that the reason why they have to get married is just so that they can have sex. Just so that they can sleep with somebody. And they don't want to do it, So they would go and get the license so that they can do it as many times as you want. That's not a good enough reason. That's not a good enough reason for you to want to go put yourself in that kind of a situation. Get married, date, or be in a relationship for the right reasons. Having license to do mama and papa is not one of them. That's not a good enough reason to want to do that. Think about it. Really, seriously, think about it. And if you're in your 40s and 50s, and you have a 22-year-old man, somebody you can give birth to, telling you that they're in love with you and you believe it. Me, I don't know. I don't know. What can a 45-year-old woman or man possibly do for a 15-year-old, 20-year-old girl? You tell me. This is your own child that you could give birth to. So what is it that they are attracting to? Is it that they are attracted to having you as their mom in their life or their dad? Like, what is it? What do the two of you have in common? What are you even going to talk about? Your worlds apart, your generations apart. What do you have in common with somebody who is 2 or 3 or more decades older or younger than you? Think about it. I have a favorite uncle of mine who always says that they have their golden rule. They would never, ever be with anybody more than a decade older or younger than them. Especially younger than them. So if my uncle is in his 60s, he's not dating anybody who is less than 50. What would a 40-something, 30-something-year-old see in a 60-year-old? Other than the big Benjamins that the woman thinks that he has. What else? What kind of lens can a 60-something-year-old man take a 20-year-old woman bedmatically, which is going to make her lose her senses and want to stick with him? You're just opening the door up for 3 or 4 more people to be happy in your so-called relationship. Sometimes we just have to just face the facts. I have no business with a 60-something-year-old, a 70-year-old man at my age. We have nothing in common. He's not my dad. I have a dad. Thank you very much. So what is it? What are we going to talk about? If he's my uncle, that's a different relationship. Okay, yeah, my dad, my uncles. But at my age, I got no business with a 70-year-old or 60-something-year-old. Even late 50-something-year-old. I have no business with you. We are not the same. We have nothing in common. Your thinking, your way of doing things, completely different. Think about all of these things when you're making those desperately made decisions. Because everybody else says you're getting on in age, you have to settle down. So you have to settle down with just about anything. Trust in the universe, trust in the Lord, trust in God, trust in whatever you trust in to give you what your heart actually desires, what you want. Not what you've cooked yourself to then want the heavens to approve so that you can have it. That's not how it works. Trust the process. No cut corners. No thinking that you can determine how somebody is by looking in their face. It doesn't work like that. I love you, everybody, so much. I could waffle on and on about this, but I just had to pass by and have this conversation. I'm going to get ready, and I need to leave the house in an hour or so. So I love you so much, my sister. I love you so much, my brother. And I want to see you making better decisions and choices in this life. When it comes to the people that you want to have relationships with, when it comes to people that you're inviting into your life. There's so many wolves out there in sheep clothing. And it takes the spirit of discernment. It takes patience and due diligence to pick out the chaff from the wheat. Don't allow some feeling to sway you to doing things that you would not ordinarily or regularly or normally do. If it doesn't sit right, it's just not right. Push it to one side. And trust me, you are better off being by yourself. Like I've woken up this morning on my own. Fabulous day. I'm able to sit here and have this conversation for as long as I want. Because today I'm not in work mode. I'm on holiday. I'm having a fabulous time. Than to be in bondage just because you want to be called Mrs. Something. Not be able to breathe. You feel that you're being stifled and smothered. All because somebody told you this is the essence of life. And the only way to be alive and to be happy is to live that stifling life. Think about it. Think about it critically. And I know that a lot of people will come up and announce you're a feminist and you're this and you're that, and you should be teaching people the right thing. Can you marry yourself? Can you live by yourself? I would much rather marry myself and live than be in a stifling, stinking relationship and not be alive to tell my tale. I will not allow anybody to take my life just because that's what society says is good for me. What do I say is good for me? That should also count for something. That's all I've got to say. We have to work together, women, and save our own life and our own peace of mind and our sanity. It's very important to me. And it should be to you too. I love you so much. Have a fantastic, fantastic day. I'm pretty sure I'm going to come back again later on in the day. But for now, I love you so much. If you haven't yet downloaded Tap Send on your phone to send remittances to your family and your loved ones back home, you're not my friend anymore. Download the app. For the first transaction, use promotional code AKUSIKA, which is my full name, AKUSIKA, right? And for that first transaction, you get an extra $15 if you live in the States or in Canada to send to your family or whoever you were sending it to, your loved one. If you lived in Europe, it's €5. If you lived in the United Kingdom, UK, it's £5. Doesn't get better than that. Afterwards, keep using the Tap Send because the rates of exchange to send remittances to your loved ones, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I love it. That's what I use. Okay? If you found this video useful, please share it on your personal profile page. You just don't know. You might be saving a sister right now who's about to embark on this very journey we've just spoken about. Share it on your personal profile page, please. Secondly, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you have not done well at all. You say you love me, please help me send this message and word out there so many more people can hear it. It's Sika Educates on Facebook, Sika Educates on YouTube, Sika Educates everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Sika Educates all around. Finally, if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, just want to sit and talk to somebody in a private place and be able to express yourself privately, your information privately, go to www.sikaeducates.com and you can just book yourself a session there and come and let's talk. I love you so much and I want to see us all make it live long, fulfill the number of our days, and be excellent in everything that we do. Have a fantastic rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And it's your girl signing out. I love you. Mwah. Bye.